Hey kids, you trying to get into Segment City? Well, you really shouldn't, because Segment City is a mature podcast, and listener discretion is advised. I'm just trying to look at... I know I'm in an alleyway. I know how I look, but I got some fireworks for you kids. I got snakes and I got sparklers. That's all I got. Oh, don't give me that.
I had a very nice weekend this weekend.
I'm so happy for you.
I wanted to tell you about it.
You deserve a nice weekend every weekend.
I deserve nothing.
If you
I'm a piece of actual garbage. But
if you can't handle my worst weekend, you don't deserve my best weekend.
My worst week. What's your worst weekends?
This is topical. I just moved, so my worst weekend would be helping somebody move. And it's cold and raining, and they haven't properly booked their U-Haul van, so we're sort of kind of shit out of luck, but we still gotta move their shit. That's my worst weekend.
There's nothing worse than helping a friend and they're unprepared and they're not going to give you anything.
I have to say, I just moved and I was very prepared, and I bought empanadas for the people who helped me move. Empanadas and beer. I think
even
it's a pretty
pizza.
good.
Like that's a pretty high compared to pizza. I think that's a little bit like ooh.
Well, there's a good empanada
flavor to that.
There's a beautiful empanada spot near where I live, and I recently discovered it, and I will be eating there at least twice a week because it is beautiful.
I know an empanada place that I don't think it's near to you.
Well, you should.
It's in this like weird courtyard that you have to go through like a weird alley to get near.
You go through step one. Go through Crime Alley.
You go through Crime Alley, and there's constantly like, hey, are you future Batman's parent? No,
hey,
no.
Excuse me, are you wearing a pearl necklace? Oh, you're not. Okay, go right on through.
Is your son rich and determined? Oh, okay. He might be Batman.
Is your son determined to conquer what makes him scared the most? No. Okay, go on through.
Okay, go. You're good. I want to make a new Batman.
We have a screening process here.
You have to go through there, and it's a nice empanada place, and it has a sauce there. I don't know if have you ever been to a sauce?
I do love a good sauce. For listeners, it's a French friery.
Yes,
Serves
and it has a bunch of
French
sauces.
Fries.
But anyway, that's local stuff. We were originally going to start our podcast by talking about a game that I played this weekend, which is a board game called Scythe.
And I played that game like the weekend before, actually. One weekend before, for the first time ever. So it's a new game to the both of us.
It is a solid game.
I really enjoy it.
It is a post-World War I game, and it takes place in like Eastern Europe, and all the factions it's Russia, Germany, Poland,
Soviet Union. There's like
Nordic.
Right,
it was just Nordic.
Yeah,
and then the last one was it like Chechenian?
Yeah, I think that's right.
It was something like that, and each of them has like an animal. So it's like
Yeah,
I was Poland, and so I had a big bear.
Yeah, I was Soviet Union. I had a tiger.
Yeah, and so the whole shtick of the game is everybody is trying to get control of this area and like the factory which made mechs in World War I. And so each faction has different like mechs that they
it's fictional,
have, and
it's future past.
So it's super cool.
It's the future past. I love it.
You think it's going to be more combat than it is, but it was a lot more resource management for what we were doing. Like it was our first game, so we're just trying to figure stuff out, but we're just like, oh, okay, so you're not supposed to, well, the battling is not like in other games where you're just trying to get units off their board, because it just sends them back to their spawn point. Mm-hmm. And so you're just trying to, like, I kept on trying to get rid of the Russian guy because he kept on going into my territory. I'm like, get out, get out of here. Like, I don't need you in my space, like hogging my stuff.
So I think the way I would describe Scythe is Settlers of Catan with combat layered on top of it.
Yeah, kind of. It's a game that we're talking a little bit about before, which we're not going to go into all the mechanics because there's a 30-minute video that I was supposed to watch before.
I watched the 30-minute video 4 times to learn the rules so that I could explain it to somebody. I watched it 4 times.
Once you actually get into the game, you're like,
really
oh, this is very simple.
Yeah, it's sensory overload at the beginning. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
You have a lot of options, and one thing I really like about it is that there's no bad option.
Right.
There's nothing that you're doing that's like active. Well, there's maybe a few things that you could do that's like an active detriment, but most of the things that you do is like, okay, I'm increasing my power, I'm increasing my popularity, I'm increasing all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm getting upgrades that helps me with we were just figuring out like, okay, maybe it's best to do this first. Depending on what card you get, what faction you get, because for Poland, they have a thing where events on the board, you get 2 of the things that it gives you, because you can do it's like a multiple choice of like, okay, you can do this one thing, you can help these goat herders with their goats, and you gain popularity and you get gold.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense. That it's just like this man, he saw some geese go across the road.
I love
very popular.
I like the different options. I like the different options on the card because it's like you come across a herd of cows and there's a mech in the distance. Option A, like make sure the cows get safely back with their farmer. Option B, send one of the cows into the mech just to see what happens. Option C, take one for yourself and feed your village. And it's like, I will always send one just to the mech to see what happens.
Constant things of like, we steal the mech. That was always like one of that. We steal your mech.
Yeah.
But it was a good game. I very much enjoyed it.
I remember you texting me before. I remember you texting me before and being like, "My brother is always trying to get me to play this, and I just am never in the mood." And I'm like, "Actually, give it a go because I just played it, and I think it's very worth your time."
It did take. There was a point where we broke it up by having a boat ride because it was taking so long.
Debrief.
We had to debrief and get back to it, and then we were like, "You know what? I'm really into this."
Yeah.
Like we were all really into it.
For a solid 45 minutes after we finished playing, me and my roommates just talked about the different things. I ended up winning, but only because what I did was the first half of the game I went really into combat and was playing hyper aggressively and totally depleted all of my popularity. And then I did the math in my head and I was like, "Oh, you really need popularity to win."
Yeah.
And so the second half of the game I just focused on popularity and it managed to barely scrape out the win because I had boosted my popularity enough.
I lost by 1 popularity point.
Ugh.
If I was right on the board, because there's 3, you can get popularity, which is just it amplifies the points you get at the end of the game.
Multiplier on your points.
Yeah, it's a multiplier.
Which is crazy.
So I was only in the first tier, and I was 1 point from getting into the second tier, and I would have won by a lot if I had done that, but I didn't. So I was like, ugh.
I think it's having seen it, I think you probably just can't win if you're in the first tier and anybody's in the second tier.
Yeah, all 3 of them were in the second tier, but I was like, I wasn't terrible. Mm-hmm. I just if
I
had done that,
away.
I was 1 point away, and I everything else. I had so many resources. I had a lot of land. I was doing everything right, and then the person playing Germany did a blitzkrieg at the end. It just took half the map. We're just like, oh, okay.
This is how I would get my points. I almost did something amazing. I was limited by resources, so I couldn't do it, but I almost won the game by moving all of my workers to a village and producing and just being like, victory by babies. Everybody have babies and get your final victory point. But I couldn't quite do it. It was very annoying. And I was like, I wanted victory by babies.
Mm-hmm. Good game. Everybody should play it. Or not everybody. I think it's for people who want a good 4X game that is not overwhelming and gives you a lot of options.
Yeah, I think it's it's one step up from if you're playing Settlers of Catan with an expansion already, it's one step up from there.
I don't know. Catan is pretty I don't like Catan because it's too simple that people who know it.
That's what I'm saying. If you're already playing Catan with an expansion, this is the next level up from that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very solid game. They also have a digital version of the board game, so check it out. And then
I have to say that the physical version is one of the most gorgeous looking board games I've ever played. It's really high production value.
Each of the mechs are different based on what faction you are. It's really cool. But I also played, just really quickly, a game called Dragoon, which also has my brother got the gold edition, which is an actual canvas map. and metal pieces, and you're all dragons in this like land, and you're basically trying to like take over villages or burn villages, and you get gold based off of that, and you can go to other dragons' roosts and steal their gold. So it's one of those games where everyone just pummels the person in first, and then somebody sneakily is like, hey, and then they get into first, and then they get pummeled. So it's like a constant everybody getting pummeled.
Love it.
It was a lot of fun. I lost that one too. I guess I've just played with people who are too good at games. But anyway, as you probably already got from this board game discussion, this podcast, Segment City. Segment City is a podcast in which Theo and I produce segments. It's in the name, which are on a variety of subjects. It could be something about board games. It could be like real life stories. It could be something about history. It's whatever we feel, and we just want to make you all laugh and surprise each other. I don't know what Theo's going to do.
That's right.
But we know what I'm going to do, which is Will's stupid thought for the day. Here's my thought. Ripley's Believe It or Not really could have anything in it, and it would fit. Because
you could either believe it or not.
Yeah, they really encapsulated all of existence into it. It's just like, hey, what have you, just like unicorns? Yeah, believe it or not, dude. Ghosts? We got a ghost.
I think do you
believe it?
I think the whole expression, like, believe it or not, like, there's an elephant the size of a dog, and it's like, okay, I believe it, sure.
I think it's more to the not, though.
Yeah.
I think they're really like...
I think the statement really should be more of a question, like, would you believe? Like,
would you believe it? Because it is those things like an elephant-sized dog. It's like wacky things.
It is wacky
in real life.
Yeah, right. And it's a whole book full of them. It's the equivalent of like the Freak Show, but brought to modern,
tasteful version
of the Freak Show, but for modern sensibilities. Like, we're gonna paint this in a positive light and give you a little expose on this person's life, as opposed to just being like, "Come and see the Freak Show."
this gross, disgusting person with a beard.
I know you don't want to see it. We have it though. Come and see it.
Hey. I see you. Come here.
I know you're very curious. Hey, I actually had a separate thought this week about Ripley's Believe It or Not.
That's weird.
Which
is unison.
Have you ever scrolled in Snapchat over to like the discovery screen?
No, never. What are you doing, my boy? That's a hellscape.
If you go over there, it's basically Ripley's Believe It or Not. There's like
really?
Yeah, if you take a scroll over there sometimes, there's this one that always fascinates me by the thumbnail. It's called Gym Heroes, and it is these people that they have muscles in the weirdest places in the weirdest proportions. I saw one that was this guy like flexing his pecs, and he literally looked like a gorilla. It was like a flat tabletop coming out from his chest, and then it came down. Like he was like a cartoon character. He was like Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, but in real life. And then there was another one where it just showed some guy's forearm, and he was like flexing it, and it was just like the size of my thigh, and I was like, what is going on here?
In all the veins, you know what's going on there?
Steroids.
It's steroids. It's always. This is what I will say to anyone this is our quick gym segment, gym etiquette. If you ever go to the gym for the first time, everyone who is like huge and muscled to like that looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
The cloud. We like to call them.
We
like to call them the cloud people.
The cloud people, they are 100% on things.
Yes.
They're on steroids. Some people naturally like that. And it's like, okay, but you have to understand they're the minority.
Yep.
Most people, like, I can look at a person and be like, okay, that's some natural stuff.
Right.
Like they have, it's not like out of proportion. If you're only veins and muscles, it's like, that's not healthy. That's crazy.
I just can't relate to the mindset of being addicted to going to the gym. I just can't relate. Like, I know that it hooks some people. For me, I'm like, I'm in and out. It's a bodily function. I'm doing myself a service by, paying it forward to my future health, and I'm out of there.
I enjoy it because I still work out, even though we're in quarantine still. We're still at home.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy fucking flexing all. He just dunked all over you, viewers. Viewers, feel free to email us to try to dunk right back on Will. It's just FYI. That's a possibility.
But here's the thing: it's vigorous exercise followed by binge eating. But so it's not really helping. Like I ran like 6 miles yesterday, but then I also like ate some Oreos, which completely negates.
You gotta strap that 20-pound weight to your wrist and then eat the Oreos. Then you gotta really work for it.
There you go.
There you go.
But yeah, it's For me, it makes me feel good. That's the only way I listen to podcasts most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also a benefit. And also, I'm Irish Catholic, so I need to push that energy somewhere.
You gotta get that
guilt energy.
Gotta get that ATP moving, or else it'll contribute directly to the guilt vein.
The guilt is really a big thing for me. You know what I'm guilty of? Having bad transitions into Theo's segment.
You nailed it there, buddy. Wow.
Next segment, please.
Oh, jeez. Oh, no. I just...
Did you not prepare anything?
No, I'm just still recovering from that transition.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry that I just made you sick. Maybe you should exercise to get over that.
Oh, Jesus. You don't get to tell me what to do.
I will. I will do whatever I want.
Hey, Will, you know what happened this past week that we sort of talked about but really haven't yet?
What happened?
That big old PlayStation 5 was
event.
revealed.
Yep.
And I would like to talk about it with you because, boy, howdy, there's some info.
Because you're the video game boy.
Because I'm one of the two video game boys. You're the other one.
Mm-hmm. I will give you a disclaimer to the audience off the top. I think you were a self-described Sony fanboy.
I am a Sony pony. First and foremost, let me be clear. I will buy the PlayStation 5 regardless of the price or the content.
I am much more of a lone gunslinger on the Wild West of gaming.
You have no loyalty, but in a very admirable way.
I enjoy what's best. Like, for example, I was an Xbox 360 boy.
Finest things in life.
And in the PS3, Xbox 360, I had a Wii because everybody did. I think every home came with them installed. And I had an Xbox 360 because that's what my friends had. Also, I like the controller better. I also had a PS3, but I didn't use my PS3 that much.
Mm-hmm.
And then this generation, I've been a PS4 Switch boy. I also have a Wii U. So, like, out of all of them, I got a Wii U late in the game. I got a refurbished one for, like, way cheap.
Yes.
So, that should also be on the record. But you are very much into this. So, let's go.
Yeah. This is the event that I've been waiting for a while.
You're going to be pure optimism, and I'm going to be the person that kind of, like, tugs you back, even though I'm still, like, we talked about this before. I'm like, good event. I like this event.
Yeah, overall message, I'm very on board with this, and I was going, as I said, I was going to be regardless, but I'm not someone who like is going to just be hype about anything. Like, if you give me a slate of games that I'm not excited about, I'm going to tell you, hey, I'm not excited about these games. I'm excited about the games here.
If for some reason they had FIFA 2021, 2022, 2023 all coming out at the same time, I think you'd go, that's a lot of FIFA, and I think Sony, you dingled it.
You dingled it.
You messed up this presentation.
You goofed it. All right.
Well, let's go into the games.
Let's go into the games. So I have just a complete list of the games here, and we can just...
Yeah,
if you want to skip through them, like, we'll just say skip or cool and deserve some more.
We'll
so, talk about in order of appearance... Started with Grand Theft Auto 5.
Garbage.
Instant garbage. And the most annoying thing, the fact that they opened the press conference. They opened the press conference with a Rockstar symbol. Unbelievably misleading. Are you kidding me? Like, you have to know that when you do that, people are expecting a new game or at least like a port of Red Dead. Like, that's what people are expecting. Not a port of your, like... Now it's literally 8-year-old game. 8 years old.
Yeah, it is. It came out in what, 2013? We're
2012,
freshman year of college.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a game. I understand why Rockstar. I kind of understand why Rockstar is porting it
because
it's a big money maker.
Printing money.
It's printing money for them. And but it's also a game that it's like. It's literally hopscotched over generations. Like, it's going through every single. And I think they kind of made fun of it in the Sony event of just like, now from the old times to new times, let's actually get into new games. And I was like, I mean, don't start like I would slip that in mid presentation.
Mid presentation after you've gotten some real hype things out of the way and before some other hype things, because it is in the Oreo metaphor. It is part of the fluff. It is not one of the cookies. Like
you start strong, you end strong.
Right.
I think the end is strong. I would have started with Spider-Man, PS4, Miles Morales.
The other thing I have to say about Grand Theft Auto 5 is I was sitting there watching it and just laughing because they were showing all of these epic things you could do, and I have played GTA Online, and let me tell you, there are a few more loading screens than they're letting on.
Exactly. It's all loading screens.
It's all loading screens.
You have to go into single player to get into multiplayer. The only good thing that they said is that they're like, we're doing separate multiplayer, and I'm like, cool. I can't believe you didn't already do this.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane to me.
So, yeah, it was frustrating and misleading, but
whatever.
Next one.
Let's move on.
Next one. Yep. Spider-Man Miles Morales. Unbelievably hype. It's getting its own game. You know, I actually predicted after I was talking to some friends
I heard that it's 1.5 though. I heard it's like we said we texted. It's like how Uncharted did Lost Legacy
right.
after 4.
Right. I'm thinking that it's going to be same engine and probably same New York City. Probably with like a little bit of maybe like a district or a borough added onto it. I don't think it's going to be much bigger. I'm really hyped for it. I think it's awesome. I actually predicted after playing Spider-Man 1 that in Spider-Man 2 you would end up taking over as Miles Morales, which seems less probable now because they're releasing this separate standalone game. Like, it now really feels to me like Spider-Man 2 is going to be a continuation of Peter Parker's story.
Yeah, which I personally would have made it the way that you said first I would spend half the game as Peter Parker and then switch to Miles Morales. I think that would be really cool.
Yep, I think so too.
But then they're just like, no, we're just going to do separate. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm still going to play the shit out of this game. So that's just one of those like rock solid, not like I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah,
so
this was one of the more hype announcements for me because I am so super into Spider-Man.
Oh, I 100%ed it and the DLC. So.
Yeah. All right, next up, Gran Turismo 7. It's a driving game.
Don't need to talk about
it. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Looked cute, and I like Ratchet and Clank. I recently played the one that they did that was the movie tie-in.
Did you use the 2016? Yeah, so I played and loved the 2016 remake, and am really, really excited about Rift Apart. The footage they showed of like the rifts being pulled is such a good way of showing off like, oh, hey, by the way, this is only possible like on our system. You're literally pulling yourself through scenes of a video game, which is incredibly difficult to load. Like, this is just a prima, like, as a dev, you're like, oh my god, they're doing it. They're just loading scenes on the fly. This is buck wild.
It's definitely a game that I'm like, I will buy it when it's because I give ratings in terms of
how much would I pay for it?
How much I'm willing. Yeah, how much I'd be willing to pay for this. This is a solid, I would say like $45.
If this came out,
so good for me.
The 2016 remake came out at $40. It launched at $40. If this game comes out at $40, which it won't, it's going to come out at $60. If it came out at $40, it would be a day one buy for me. But I think I might be with you. I mean, it's hard to tell. I'll see what. It really depends on what's coming out around it. If it's like in a kind of a drought, I will definitely pick it up day one. Okay. Yeah. Next up.
Yeah, and that's basically it.
Yeah, next up is Project Athia. This is the Square Enix title they showed. I'm not big on Square.
That was the one where the person was they were just running across like the like cliffs and stuff, right? I completely forgot this trailer.
Yeah, it was like,
it seemed like a tech demo.
Yeah, it was like a very vague, like, it had some text about like, she's gonna rise from the ashes, and it's like someone running across to. Oh, it showed her doing some like spells to do with casting some roots or something. Looks cool. I'll wait for more info.
Yeah.
One thing before we move on to the next one. One thing I really ended up really liking. I was confused during the conference, but I ended up really liking it after the fact. They paid a lot of attention both to AAA really hype games and to much smaller games. I thought that was really cool.
That's because this is another thing that we texted each other about, where I think Nintendo is the best at doing presentations because even the small little ones, they're just like, and now we're gonna go to a distant land, and you're like, oh, what is this? And it's like
land?
A tiny JRPG that's all pixel art, and you're just like, okay, I'll watch this. Like, fine,
it's something for everyone.
Yeah, but this was definitely like, I didn't feel that they had like this tiny indies. They had stuff that I would call like AA. Mm-hmm. They're mostly AAA, some AA.
Yeah, agreed. So next title was Stray, about the cat in the robot future.
I've been actually looking at it. There's a guy that I like follow on ArtStation or something that is always posting about it. So I think he works on it, and
Cool.
I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So
I
cute, and
will
I
wait to see
definitely
more.
play it.
Like, you have my
My
attention.
girlfriend would love it.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely for a subsection of the audience.
Yes.
The next game was Returnal, which is by Housemarque. It's a bullet hell third-person shooter. It looked fine.
I don't even remember this one.
It was the person who started in space and then like crashed down.
Oh yeah, that one was. I thought that was okay. The gameplay and the story that they were trying to set up, I thought were in complete opposites. Because it was like, I'm going insane on this planet that I relived this day, and
Right.
it's like pew 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 bullet hell,
Yeah.
like having fun. And I'm like, why does she even? I thought this was going to be like exploration walking sim. And then it was like, oh, bullet hell. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I have faith in this game only because like Housemarque is very good at bullet hells. And I'm generally not even into bullet hells, but Housemarque has made bullet hells that I like. So they have proven themselves competent, and I will look forward to it until otherwise
If it gets good reviews, maybe, but I don't.
This is a game I could see coming out as like deeply discounted on PS Plus. Like,
I'm getting better as I get older at like guesstimating how well a game's going to do, and this feels like a max 8 score.
I think it could be the thing is, it could be like an 8.5, but it's for a very specific audience who likes bullet hells.
Yeah, it would be crazy. Like if it gets a 9, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I should look into this. But
okay, next up is Sackboy: A Big Adventure.
Looks fun for the family. Perfectly fine with it. It doesn't. I'm probably not going to pick it up because it looks a little too simple and easy. Yeah, probably.
I'm just really excited that they're trying a 3D platformer with Little Big Planet, and that they're making Little Big Planet like relevant again. It hasn't been relevant in a long time. Sackboy is he's really iconic. Yeah.
Which was in beginning of PS4's life cycle, I think.
I think Sony needs to like wake up to the fact that Sackboy could be one of their primary mascots in an age where like they don't really need a mascot, but they could have one if they wanted to, Yeah.
I think they have a diverse kind of cast of stuff that is not as memorable as a Mario or a Sonic, but it is a like, I know who Kratos is. I know who Sackboy is.
And it could I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of level creation tools they stick in this, especially after having done Dreams. Although this is a Sumo Digital game, it's not by Media Molecule, so we'll see. We'll see. Next was Destruction All-Stars. Fortnite meets Forza.
Oh yeah, okay. I actually saw this and I was like, this looks interesting. It looks fun.
It looks like a game that I will try because it's probably going to be free to play.
Yeah, it's like Twisted Metal, but with like a cast of characters that's less dark.
Yes, and it looks like you can get out of your car, which is very strange. Like you can get out and run around.
Yeah,
which I'm a little confused about how that works.
You probably can get run over and stuff. Like that might be like Diva in her mech in Overwatch, where you can get out.
I'm interested because I think that after Rocket League did such a good job with like, okay, cars, soccer, got it. If this game can pull off a similarly like simple idea, like cool, I could be in.
I think it's gonna just be like, hey, we made Twisted Metal, and it's fun and like more pop arty.
Yeah,
it's like okay, that's fine.
That could be fine with me. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
Okay. Next is Kena: Bridge of Spirits, which
this one was.
It looked cute. It was like the one where there was a woman in the forest with a staff, and there were all those like little fluffy things following her around.
Because in between, for people who haven't watched this announcement, in between they had like short, tiny things with the developers, and it was 2 guys, and they're both like, we're an animation studio, and we made a game. And I was like, oh, cool. And it has a definitely great art style. I don't know how the gameplay is gonna. It feels like people making the game for the first time. It looks like an animation studio made a game.
Yep, definitely.
So I don't know how it's going to look for gameplay.
It looks really pretty, but the character controller looks a little janky.
Yeah, it looks like Floaty first made my game in Unity.
Right. So we'll see. I mean, it has the potential to be very good. Next was Goodbye Volcano High, dinosaurs.
Oh my
and
God.
Dating sims.
It's okay. This is one that I didn't know what the gameplay was. I didn't even you saying dating sim. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess it's a dating sim because I literally didn't know. It was just all stills of dinosaurs, like teenagers.
The description from GameSpot says, starring fantasy characters or fantasy creatures in a hand-drawn art style. Goodbye Volcano High is an emotional game set in the end of an era.
Everyone's gonna die at the end. I don't know.
I mean, that's entirely probable. It was very weird to just be like, oh, so this is Dino Furry game. Okay.
Yeah. Listen, they have the pigeon game. They know what they're doing.
They have literally in this conference, they have something for literally everyone.
For literally everyone who wants it.
Someone was very excited about this game.
Some scalies are definitely
Is that the name for them? Scalies?
That's for furries that are into lizard things.
Thanks for
scalies.
Broadening my worldview with that knowledge.
Well, you didn't know. I don't know what fish are called. I think fish are also scalies.
Gillies.
Or gillies, maybe? I don't know. Now I'm learning.
Next up, we have Oddworld Soulstorm. I don't need to talk about this. It's Oddworld. I don't care.
It's Oddworld. I haven't played any Oddworld games. People who are into Oddworld are probably into it because it looks like the old ones.
Yep.
Next
was Ghostwire Tokyo, which seems...
I like the look of that.
It looked kind of cool. It was kind of Control-ish.
It definitely feels double A. Like the graphics, I was like, ooh, the graphics are a little bit like not the best, but also it looks interesting to me.
The one thing that I noted about this was it felt kind of disjointed between the first half and second half of the trailer, where the first half was very creepy and I was like, oh, is this a horror game? And then the second half was like, oh no, you're just fucking shit up. You're just running around absolutely destroying things. So I was like, they're kind of going for an action thriller vibe that I could be into. After having played Control, I could definitely be into this.
I think that is what it's probably going to be. I would also kind of like if they had like almost Persona like worlds, like have friends and stuff, and then you would go. Maybe that's a totally different tone of a game, but that would be a game I would enjoy. But next
was Jet: The Far Shore, which was like the little one where you were a little spaceship and you were like zooming around over like these waves and stuff. I don't care. Next.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that.
Godfall, which was Gearbox's like slasher looter.
This one looks like a tech demo that's going to get canceled in like less than a year.
Yeah,
maybe that's just me.
This game looks like it was like a very beautiful game that is going to be very shallow. That was the game. That was like, it looked like, okay, press square, triangle over and over and over and beat up your opponents.
Your knights people in your have swords and you just like combo people in third person action. And I'm like, is there a plot to this game or is it like a For Honor or something?
Yeah.
Like I didn't understand what it was and it just looked like a tech demo, so I wasn't very interested.
Yeah. Next was Solar Ash, which was Hyper Light Drifter, but you rollerblade? Which is
that actually
cool?
that was another one that I was like,
cool.
It looks like it's from the guy who did Hyper Light Drifter, and it does seem like, hey, I made my first 3D game.
Yep.
A little bit, like, but the art style is really good.
It's really beautiful.
And it's like, okay, he definitely work on this a lot, and I'm definitely impressed, so I'll look into it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, next is Hitman 3. More Hitman. That's the end. I thought it was a really stupid trailer, and I'm not that into Hitman, but people who like Hitman are getting more Hitman.
That's the quintessential, like, if you like more of this, like, if you like this, you'll hear some more.
Next was Astro's Playroom, which is like the spin-off of Astrobot Rescue Mission.
I knew that you would be into it because you're very into Astrobot Rescue Mission.
I love Astrobot Rescue Mission. Platinum to that game. I think it's critically very underrated. I mean, really limited by the number of PSVR units out there. This is awesome. I am super excited. I'm interested to see if it's going to be VR. It probably will be both VR and not VR. And if it's a real game, I'm not sure if it's going to be a real game or if it's going to be like a little tech demo or something. I could see this like shipping with the PlayStation and being like, here, have a little like playroom where you can like run around in. Either way, I hope it veers more towards a game because the level designers from Astrobot Rescue Mission deserve more shine, basically.
This is where we're going to differ. If it is a like, hey, this comes with a system kind of thing, then I'm going to be totally down with it. Yeah. I think that's great. What I saw, I like the design of the little Astrobots, but they are like, hey, look at me, I'm a little cute robot kind of look. And they look a little generic. That's just me personally. Also, the gameplay looked like, hey, we're making our own Mario Odyssey, and I'm like, I already played Mario Odyssey because of the control scheme and just kind of like the level layout.
Yeah,
kind of made me think of a 3D Mario.
Yeah, so it's one of the problems that I have is like, it's really hard for me to express how awesome this game is without sitting someone down and putting them in VR and having them play it.
No, that's a tough sell.
Like the level of creativity, like imagine how much creativity you felt that the devs of Mario Odyssey did, right? Where you're like, oh my God, this feels incredibly refreshing and just well polished. It's that same level, but in a whole different like dimension of like, oh, the levels are now around me. I am the camera. I am looking around. It's really hard to explain. So at some point, you should come over and play Astrobot Rescue Mission
after all of this.
Or I should just drive my PSVR over to you and drop it on your doorstep.
Just drop it, and then I have to dunk it into some hand sanitizer before I give it back to you. This is gonna be on my sweaty face.
Right. Next was Little Devil Inside. I thought this looks really cute. It's like the little indie Monster Hunter. I think this looks really awesome.
It did have a little thing about an old man taking a shit.
Yep,
which was
really funny. And it had a moment where the main character was riding on like a little tiny horse. I loved that. It was so funny.
I texted you about this too. I love the art style of the characters because it's very low poly and the gameplay looks fun. It looks cool. Like, I'm interested in it in terms of also the world, because I'm like, this seems like adventuring world, but then it goes back to like dreary real life. Dear indie developers, stop doing the thing where you have low poly characters and then realistic grass. It looks bad every time to me.
10 out of 10 times.
10 out of 10. Because there was that Shonen Jump game or whatever. It was anime characters. And they had that too. They had like realistic looking places. And I'm like, I know you just got something off the Unity store that gives you
really
realistic.
Drag and drop.
It looks super bad. And I'm like, there's ways that like Breath of the Wild did it perfectly.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, your grass looks great.
Yep.
Just try to like have the same low poly level and like add effects to it. Don't do it just annoyed me. Everything else looked good.
Really good. Looking forward to that one. NBA. Great. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
Bug snacks. Bug snacks. This is the one where
this one was stupid. I hated this.
It's so funny. I love it. You eat a strawberry and your arm turns into a strawberry. What gameplay mechanic is that? Who thought of this?
I know, but also I think it's gonna only be that. It could be the level of like Viva Pinata. It kind of had that vibe to it.
It's the sequel from the guys who made Octodad.
Yeah, but also like Octodad was also a little bit not one note, but like it was you're an octopus dad. I don't know. It didn't. The art style wasn't great. To me, just because it like from an art perspective, it looked like that maybe it was just the trailer, but the textures and like the animation didn't look right of the person talking. Like it was a hippopotamus or something talking, and like her voice didn't match up to the things. And I'm like, it looks
like a quirky little indie game that I will not play.
Yeah, exactly.
Next was Demon Souls. I don't know if you have thoughts about this. I mean,
my brother's super hype about it.
Yeah, a large subsection of people are very hype about this. I might play it. I might not. You know what I'll probably do? I'll probably get it on discount, like way down the line.
Discount. You know if you're into this is the kind of hype.
Next up is Deathloop, which I am extremely
very into.
This. Yeah.
I was very into that. So, I was like, because the art style's great. The entire trailer, I was like, totally on board.
Yep.
Because you're like, hey, Dishonored gameplay with like a fun time loop mechanic of like you're trying to get through and figure out all these mysteries on this like small enclosed place. And also, what's up with the multiplayer? It's like another person can come in and like kill you.
I'm super hyped about it. I don't know if we recently talked about this, but I recently played Dishonored, and my one critique with the game,
you did your review.
My one critique was that they don't encourage you to be violent when being violent is fun. And this game looks like it takes that complaint and makes a game out of it.
It looks like a game that I would wait in line at a convention to play.
Yes, it is very flashy and cool.
Okay, we're very into it.
We're coming down to it. Resident Evil Village. I'm not going to play it. I'm scared by Resident Evil.
Here's the thing. I'm into Resident Evil, and I especially love Resident Evil 4, which I think this is trying to harken back to. The trailer is absolute garbage. Because I was bored out of I was almost going to skip past it, and then it said Village, and then did the
3
8 or whatever. Yeah. And then it was like Resident Evil, and I was like, hold on. And then I went back, and I was just like, oh, okay, I guess this is like
Okay.
Resident Evil 4. And I was like, fine, like, let me see gameplay of it. Is it going to go back to Resident Evil 4? Is it going to do Resident Evil 7 stuff? But you have Chris Redfield, who is like big beefy man and doesn't work with Resident Evil 7 stuff.
Don't know.
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. I won't play it. I mean, too spooky.
That's too spooky.
Next was Pragmata, which was the game that looked like the sequel to Death Stranding. It was like the guy on the moon.
Oh yeah, that one was weird. It felt very Japanese.
I don't know what the game is, so I can't comment on it.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing.
Next was Horizon Forbidden West. Amazing,
it's great.
Can't wait to play it. Super duper hype.
That's another one of those like the Spider-Man Miles Morales where I'm like, dope.
So on board. Yeah, just
cool.
Just
that's like good.
I
know it's gonna be good.
Yeah,
like so I'll get it, and like that's kind of it.
All right, and then the closing thing was the consoles. We got to see the two different consoles of the PS5.
Spoiler alert. I'm not a huge fan of the look, but I think might grow on me with different colors. The white was definitely, it looks like a router. That's the joke everyone's making, but like everybody makes that about every single console generation. I kind of like the Xbox Series X box more.
You can either have a router or you can have a refrigerator. It's up to you.
Yeah. If I was to pick from the two of them, I don't know.
I definitely think I would take the Xbox Series X over this. I think this is really ugly, to be honest with you. I'm not into it at all. But the nice thing about consoles is you look at them when you open them, and then you stick them under your TV, and you never look at them again.
Hey, can't wait to buy the slim version of it.
Yep, can't wait to buy that redesign. Yep.
So if they have a black version that comes out, then great.
Yep.
I mean, the way that I play video games is I'm always way behind.
Yeah, as someone who's going to be buying it at launch, I'm going to have to look at this thing.
You bought PS4 at launch. Mm-hmm. I waited a while to get. I got a PS4. Did I? No, I got an original PS4, but then it broke, and then I got a Slim. So I'm not going to be buying it because I have other games to play.
Yeah.
On PS4, I like to like finish out consoles before I go on to the next ones. But anyway, I thought it was good. I think it definitely. I think Nintendo does. This is definitely like Sony doing it for the first time and being like, "How do we do? Okay, I guess we're gonna have just like little developer things in between."
I think they did a really good job. I think there was a really good press
for the first time. I'm like, okay, you're not going to compete with Nintendo, who's been doing this for years.
What they were doing
they
were competing against the Xbox Series X reveal, which they totally crushed. They absolutely destroyed it.
Xbox Series, I didn't even watch that.
It was like all of the games leading up to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and then Valhalla wasn't even gameplay, and people were like, "What the hell?"
And also, Assassin's Creed's going to be on.
It's going to be
unless it was exclusive. Yeah, it's going to be on both. I don't care. So
yeah,
that's kind of the vibes. Anyway,
that was the reveal. We spent a lot of time talking about it, but you were someone who I wanted to talk about it with, so worth the effort.
I think we were both into it. I think it's definitely.
Yeah,
I mean, good. What, they didn't confirm a price, did they?
Nope, not yet.
Okay,
that's the last detail that they have to drop, like release date and price. Bug snacks.
I hated that. Anyway,
you're my bug.
On to my segment. This is gonna be a Will Kane real life story because I was busy this week.
Okay,
and also it's getting to time. By the time that this episode comes out, it's gonna be. Primo summer camp time. And I used to work at a place called ID Tech Camps. And this was a camp that was for kids ages like 6 to 18.
Nerds.
But they were in different groups. It was like group 1, group 2, group 3. And we taught them, yes, they were nerds. They were absolute nerds because it was a nerd camp because I taught Java programming there to teenagers. Yeah. So we had classes that ranged from, for the little kids, they were like Minecraft classes of like game design in Minecraft, AKA do the level creator and also play Minecraft. And that's it.
Play the game.
And then like basic programming stuff to kids learning JavaScript through Minecraft or Java through Minecraft. And then I taught Java to older kids, and then we had like C++ and like other things like 3D modeling. But it was all instructors who were college age, and I was there for 3 summers in a row. My first 2 summers I was an instructor, and then my last one I was a lead instructor, which became a point of like, not contention, but I was kind of annoyed because the person who had like a similar kind of trajectory as me was a assistant director. And also he did nothing and played Hotline Miami in the same room as children. So I wasn't a huge fan of his. Anyway, so we're teaching summer camp. It's a great job. Everybody, all the instructors had like fun nicknames, one for fun and also because it's weird for kids to find you on Facebook nowadays. Mm-hmm. That wasn't the main reason. Mostly it was like the fun part, but also that was and my nickname was Deckard. And this is actually how I met Annie, because her nickname was Ferris. She worked with me. And we worked together for 2 years. And then she went on another year, which is a totally different thing. But this is a story about how I, in my third year, led a coup.
Okay.
At the camp.
So maybe this is why you weren't an assistant director.
Maybe no, I should have been, because they said to me like, you are camp culture, because it's just me being wacky all the time. Imagine me on like 10 at all times.
You were leading a coup against the director, and the director was like, well, he shows initiative.
Yeah. Every week we would sit the kids down, because you had a new set of 8 kids each week. By the way, this was an expensive camp. It was like, I think I did the math, and it's like we had laptops that were like crazy good for gaming, and did the math, and I think one kid paid for my salary.
Dang.
Or not my salary, but like my weekly, hourly wage. And every week we'd introduce ourselves, and every instructor would go up and be like, "Hey, what's up?
What's up?
I'm Fungus or whatever. Like, how's it going?
Lord.
I teach robotics." And then I came up and I did I would either try to do a different one each week, or I would do my like base wrestling one, where I was just like, "Hey kids, how's it going? Using like Java," and kids were like, because they were scared of me because I was yelling. I was like, "Oh, jeez!" And then people after were like, "You're like way chill," because I just like was like, "Hey guys, what's up? How's it going? We're gonna be cool here."
Listen, I ran out of material during the intro, so
I ran out of material. So great job. I loved the job, but there was one time our director was a wonderful lady, and she was a teacher in her real life. And she knew it was going to be her last year on my last year. So she decided to not give a fuck. And so we would do things like go out to like the local bar to do trivia night, and people would sometimes get smashed, which I was annoyed with and is not protocol, but I don't really care. But what I really did care about is one weekend I had to because sometimes we would have kids over for the weekend. And then you'd have like a series of instructors, and you just play games and watch them basically for the weekend. This is for people who like did multiple weeks usually, or their parents were like on vacation. It was a tough weekend because it was just like I was in charge when I really shouldn't have, because I was only a lead. And you're supposed to have like a medical person, and they're like, "You're the medical person now." And I was like, "What?" And so I got the like requisite training for it. It wasn't like they were going crazy. I'm not going to put this company on blast. It was all within like parameters, but also it was tough on me. And it made it worse because all my coworkers were at one of their apartments getting trashed and having a party.
Great.
While I was sitting taking care of kids while they had, it's like I was being paid for it, but I was also annoyed by that, and just like a series of other things. We had like 2 different sets of camps that were like, one of them was underneath the cafeteria of the place that we're in, and then we were up on this hill. Like you literally had to go up like, I forget how much, it was like 150 stairs or something. It was like it was like a lot of stairs to get up, and I had calves of steel by the end of it was insane. So I was annoyed by that, because I would get up there and I'm like, oh, I don't have the keys, because I'm not given keys because I'm only a lead, even though I'm basically like in charge of this upper area. And I was like de facto assistant director. So I was annoyed. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I made a plan over that weekend where I was just so overwhelmed that I was just like, how about I just like become a mastermind? Because another thing about the camp is that we would give kids tickets, and that's what you would do on a raffle at the end of the week. And you could do things like pie instructors and water bucket them.
Okay.
So I figured out quickly that you could bribe kids,
of course,
to do literally anything for tickets.
Right.
Which I also got a lesson of, but you also need to be crafty with them because they are mercenaries. And so I was like giving kids, I'm just like, you. I'm like, go over there, children, and annoy this other instructor. And then they did. And then somebody figured it out and started paying them more tickets than me to go and annoy me.
Oh no.
And I was like, they're just like, they're mercenaries. And then they're like, hey, so what should we do, to the person that was giving them more tickets? And they're like, pick up trash for more tickets. And I was like, bing, hey, she's making you pick up trash for tickets. Imagine all the cool things I could make you do for tickets. Like, remember when you worked for me? And they're just like, yeah.
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah, boss, we remember.
Yeah. And I was just like, yeah, so you're going to be loyal to me now. And they're like, yeah. And I'm just like, all right, so I have the kids now in my pocket.
Let's just pause on the story to note that
yes,
you stopped them from protecting Mother Earth. You're the bad guy.
We still picked up all the trash.
You're the bad man.
Hey.
It was you.
Kids are garbage. And I would also go around at lunch and be like, if you have fruits or vegetables on your plate, because kids would just come with a big plate of French fries because it was like an all-you-can-eat kind of thing, like a college dorm. And so they would just come with French fries and watermelon. I'm like, okay, eat a healthy thing, and I will give you tickets. And then they would just like show me the remnant. They're like, I already ate all my grapes. Like I can't show. And I'm like, what are you trying to pull on me? I'm not going to give you any then. But anyway, so I had them in my pocket. I had these kids. So I'm like, okay, can I do a big mastermind thing and take over this camp? That was my end goal. Cause I'm like, I'm already not going to be here next summer. So I'm like, okay, how do I structure this? And I formed it because I didn't want people to know I was in charge. So I had my 4 horsemen of the apocalypse is what I called them. And it was 4 people in trust, including my girlfriend, Annie. She was one of the 4 horsemen. We didn't give them official names of like, you're famine. But I was like, and I gave them orders, like very specific, like, okay, today you're going to recruit this person. Maybe use this piece of dirt on them to get them to help us.
Okay.
And so, and the target was to get the 4 people who were in management, which was the director, or the 2 assistant directors, and the medical person, who probably didn't deserve it. She was just like our like college age medic person who was trying to be like a nurse. And she didn't do. It's not like she was bad towards me. It's just she was in like the management group. So I'm like, you're done too.
Oh my god. There's like, it's against like a couple of different wartime laws that
as medics. Okay, so I just devised pranks on all 4 of them, and some of them. I think the only flaw with this is that I felt too bad to let other people like waste their time on it. So I did a lot of the things manually, which kind of throws away the whole like I want to be the anonymous kingpin.
Mm-hmm.
So the medical person was first. She apparently had a huge phobia of sharks. Not a phobia, but like a fear of sharks. Mm-hmm. So I covered the table that she works on with just like sharks, just pictures of sharks, just absolutely covered it. But I went and printed it out, and somebody actually caught me, but then they didn't figure it out that I was doing this because I was printing it out. Another person, one of the assistant directors, whose name I can give the nicknames. I think he was Dude Man. He was we played this game that was only for the instructors, where it was you had little clothesline clips, and it was like Assassin, and you had to like clip it onto the person while they weren't suspecting it, and you have it like their name on it, and you had to get it. I didn't do it because I was way too busy to be looking after my back the entire time, but he was a king at it. He's athletic. He was great at it. He was amazing. So I decided that the kids we're going to give all the kids in the room that he's in clothesline clips, and then they were going to cover him in them because we had like 100 of them.
Oh my god!
So he ran up to the upper camp where I was, and he was just covered in them, and he goes, "I know it was you." And I was just like, "What? How could you even possibly me, little old me?" And he's just like, looking at me. You can't prove it because he's just covered in them. And I was like, "Perfect. That's 2." The third one was the other assistant director, the guy that was playing like Hotline Miami, and just like, so I'm like, if you like sit in the chair so much, let's tape him to the chair. So I got a bunch of tape. The problem was it wasn't duct tape; it was like packing tape and like other shitty tape.
Yeah.
So we start trying to get him. Like it's me and like two other dudes, and we're trying to hold him down. He starts sweating like an X-Man, and he's just slipping out. Like, we're trying to tape him to his chair, and it's just not going well. And we do this for like 30 minutes. Like, we're just going.
He's like Darwin from the X-Men. He's just adapting to survive.
He's just sweating his way out, and I'm like, you're so slick. Like, it was so bad. And then eventually a kid came up to us and was like, hey, so there's a police officer outside. And he's like, he's wondering what the commotion is. And there wasn't really. I didn't see a police officer because I went out and I was like, because I was going to be like, hey, it's just a prank. And then he comes running out. He's half taped to a chair and he runs outside and he just starts pulling it off himself. And he's like, I'm free. And they're like, we got him half of the way. And then probably the second most successful one, other than the close clip one, was I went down to get our director. I went down and I filled up a bunch of water balloons and put them into a big container because we had like outdoor games on field. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to be here for this one. You guys call our director because there's going to be like an issue or something. Just like come up with a reason. And then when she comes out, have all the kids have water balloons and all the instructors, and then just like pelt her with water balloons. Went perfectly. She came out and they videotaped it, and just like, and she there's that perfect moment of like, something's wrong.
Yeah,
this is a trap. And then she just got started like getting it, and it was great. And I was like, okay, now the piece de resistance, because at this point, all the kids weren't like in on it, but they were like, they kind of knew. Mm-hmm. Basically all the instructors were in on it under my generals. And basically I was like, okay, everybody make sure that they don't escape, the four leaders. And we did was basically like a summary execution of them with pieing their face. I got all four of them. I'm like, hey kids, anyone who's going to spend their tickets on pieing like this person, you can come up. I'm not going to take that away from you. But also this is the execution, and all of this was my plan. And it was my big grand, like, I'm like, I was the one that did it. I am the master now. And I put on like the lanyard that said director, and I'm like, yes, it's me. This is all real life. This all really happened. And I took over this camp for approximately 5 minutes before giving that lanyard back and saying, all right, time to end the day.
and that's how it for the day.
And that's how I took control of a camp.
My God. You're truly a supervillain. The birth of a supervillain.
I love it. It's great. Theo, that was just like...
What a wild ride.
Normally we have multiple segments here on Segment City. That was just two big ones.
We just dug right into it.
Two doozies of segments. So
the double doozy.
I want to thank everybody for listening to stories of PS5 and my camp days, my wonderful camp days were probably one of the most coordinated things I've ever done. And you know how you can coordinate with us on Segment City?
God, these
hit up our Gmail
transitions just
segmentcitypodcast@gmail.com. Go to our good old Twitter @segmentcity. Go to our YouTube, Segment City. Also, you can become... we have a Facebook group that nobody really goes to. Just joking. Also, give us a star rating, if you so please, or a written review. We would very much appreciate that.
I would love it.
You know what? Who we also love...
Me?
In a platonic way.
Is it me?
You.
It's me.
I love... No, you in not a platonic way.
Check, please.
Check, please.
Oh, my God. In a totally platonic way. We love Rachel Robinson. She did our intro music. She has her own podcast called Create Loud. They do wonderful things over there. Go check them out. We know that you can listen to podcasts. You're doing it right now.
We've never called out our audience in such a way. And I kind of like this evil energy that we've ended the podcast on, of just like nefarious schemes.
That's right.
I truly was the schemer of that camp.
The schemer.
Everybody was in my web of shadows. Anyway, thank you everyone, and have a lovely day.
Have a schemy day.